Welcome to episode 1 of the Username Taken Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about a few different topics. The first topic we will be talking about is, in Avatar: The Last Airbender, they're able to bend the elements. They can control earth, fire, wind, and water. Those are the elements they can control. But those aren't the real elements. The real elements are
Like hydrogen.
And
helium.
helium.
And
Like lithium. Beryllium. Boron, oxygen, nitrogen, a bunch of other ones.
Let's shut up before we get confused.
Yes, but we're talking about the elements of the periodic table. What if we could bend those in the same way that the Avatar can bend the other 4 elements? So yeah, what elements would you guys choose to bend?
Yes, if you woke up, here's just for the scenario. If you woke up,
Let's say hypothetically, for the sake of arguing.
I'm gonna
Continue.
murder you someday. Anyway,
You won't. I'm too funny.
We can easily find another ginger. It's Ireland.
yeah, we're
Now
good.
the audience knows he's ginger.
And Irish,
We're all Irish.
I mean, they could tell from our accents.
probably. Anyway, just in this situation, this scenario, do you get to choose what element you pick, or
Well,
if I
For the
could
sake of the argument, we're gonna look at different elements that you might be able to or you might be able to
Right.
bend,
no,
and
just-
you think which one would you most want to bend, and which one you would be most likely to end up bending based on your personality.
actually, now that's the thing. If personality is such a big thing, can you bend like
Oh
maybe.
my god, imagine that.
just some idiot walking around taking all the oxygen out of people's lungs?
And
by
they don't
accident?
even fucking know.
Like they're just gonna be walking around.
So
Whoops, silly me, I just murdered that guy.
Whoops.
oxygen would be the most
Username.
realistic to the Avatar: The Last Airbender world, because
Oxygen's
fire
air, yeah.
is made of oxygen. Oxygen is one of the main parts in fire. Water, oxygen is also a part of. Air explains itself,
Magnesium.
and there's also a lot of air in earth. So
But I was just
oxygen
thinking,
oxygen can control all of the 4 Avatar elements.
Hey,
Alright,
let's say hypothetically. Hang on. Not even hypothetically. Let's just say. How does this work actually? Like, let's say compound.
kind of
Let's say compounds. Like, you know how like water is all fucking what's
It's
it called?
a mix.
Hydrogen
of, yeah,
and oxygen. Would I be able to bend water?
What if, like, if your father was a hydrogen bender and your mother was an oxygen bender, then you'd be a water bender?
No, I don't think that would be quite the case. It would probably be the more predominant genetics that would actually determine it. Like, for example, if it was a male, it would probably be oxygen. If it was a female, it would probably be hydrogen, because it was the predominant gene line that passed down. But a question I have is, what if 2 or 3 benders managed to mix their elements? Would you be able to create, like
if
water with 2 hydrogen benders
or-
and an oxygen bender?
or like if you had chlorine
Well, I had-
benders and hydrogen benders, you could make hydrochloric acid benders.
I
That'd be
am-
interesting.
I like the
Or
implicate.
you could make
Bruh.
new elements with the combination of 2.
You mean those are compounds?
Yeah, those
That's
are
what a compound
are.
is.
That would literally what makes up everything. Like, also,
Also, would the Avatar be able to bend the entire periodic table and literally just control the entire fucking world?
that would be a very actually. That
Or
would be a very,
would he only be
Avatar
able
for
to
the
bend?
president.
Would he?
Avatar
Or
for the
would?
president.
Avatar will probably be the president because he's so powerful that no one can stop him.
Or would they only be able to bend like pure elements? Like, would they not be able to bend compounds?
Could they only be able to bend the royal elements or the royal gases?
The noble gases.
The noble gases, royal things,
Um,
same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like,
Royalty bends noble gases. Yeah. Also,
Or what if you were a uranium bender? Now, uranium isn't something you encounter in everyday life, so it probably wouldn't affect you that much. It'd probably be pretty useless because you never really encounter uranium. However, if you go near a nuclear power plant, you can fuck shit up. Pardon my French, by the way.
Like,
You can just cause devastation by looking at them, but only when you're near a nuclear power plant.
that actually brings me on to a much more powerful element, francium.
Francium, yes.
That's our French people control.
Pardon my French.
Like, there's not, like in France, like, there's not even any other elements. It's exclusively francium.
Which would be
France is a
because
bad
there's
place
only-
to go.
Like,
Yeah.
You can tell that people. You can tell like their fucking nationality because of their fucking element.
But yeah, francium is
Then
dangerous.
what would
Because-
Irish
I mean,
people do?
if francium gets
What makes
is
up alcohol?
francium is so reactive with water.
It would be
Well,
like
we don't really know because we've never done it. honestly, we're afraid to try it.
The UN has the only 15 grams of francium in a vault that's filled with a vacuum because they're too afraid to let it touch air.
Yeah,
Literally,
this shit is scary.
It would be funny as hell if it was just like fireworks.
Yeah, if it just didn't give off a tiny blast, but because it's the most...
Oh no, we know what would happen. We just don't know how
theorized,
big.
It's something like a nuke on steroids.
Was that not 2 nukes that happened in history
Actually-
that I'm not going to mention?
Nuclear activity, would that be affected by it? Because nuclear activity is when an atom decays and a new atom is formed out of what's left. Like, how would that work?
Well,
Let's say you're a uranium bender, and then someone does some fission, and then you end up with thorium.
2 uranium benders be able to split 1 uranium atom. And
Yes,
Form
but you
fission.
need to have a bender who controls what the result is. You know, because once it fissions and it's no longer uranium, these guys can't do anything. So they're going to need someone to control what's left.
But how would you know what's left?
You can work it out mathematically.
Oh. So then you'd have to make
So in this
nukes
world,
with
you
people.
have to be a math genius.
you
No,
want to
only
make a
if you work at a nuclear power plant.
Like, let's say a uranium bender went to Chernobyl. How powerful would that person be?
Now, that's a good question, because
Um,
if they went to Chernobyl,
I
would they
don't
be able to...
know if there's any uranium left in Chernobyl or if it's all decayed.
No, the elephant foot is still around.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
So would they be able to calm down the radiation output? Would they be able to basically reverse Chernobyl?
Because, fun fact I learned about the elephant foot is there's this little black bacteria on it that's slowly eating it.
And that's
Interesting.
what's slowing down
Yeah, like, it's,
radiation.
yeah, you can only
Huh.
find it in Chernobyl.
Bacteria that eats radioactive substances.
Where
That's
have I heard
interesting.
that?
Yeah, one thing I want to mention before I completely forget it. I like his implication that you need like 2 hot hydrogen benders to bend a single bit of water.
Now, that would be a thing. Would you be able to only bend one
Actually,
atom?
I'd say
or
you'd-
multiple?
Yeah, you'd be able to bend multiple, because bending them one atom at a time is just kind of pointless. So yeah, you'd only need one bender for each
Each
element
element.
that's present in the compound. But you still would need one for every element that's found there. Like, you'd need an oxygen bender and a hydrogen bender, but you wouldn't need the correct ratio. You'd only need one of each.
Now, that's
Depending on the
actually-
payload, actually.
Actually, now that I think about it, could this be used in the medical field? Everything is made up of elements.
Holy
What is
fuck,
cancer
yeah!
made of? What is cancer made of?
Cancer
it's
is
dead
made of
tissue
dead tissue.
that regenerates itself.
So whatever
What is
humans are
tissue
made
made
of, you'd need like carbon benders, you'd need oxygen benders, you need hydrogen benders, you'd need chlorine
calcium
benders, you'd need
Like,
calcium benders. It would be very difficult, and
But
honestly,
it would be possible. If you had
honestly-
just one set of them, you could go all the way around the world, erasing every cancer known to man.
it would make medical operations a lot more expensive because you'd need a much bigger workforce, and it just wouldn't really be worth it.
Yeah,
However,
but
removing poisons,
bullets.
removing bullets, and
Removing
removing
bullets.
poisons, that would be definitely a thing.
And actually, here's the thing: would it separate the thing atom by atom, or would it bring whatever the thing's in along? So, for example, that can over there, what all I need is one. What all I need to be is like a, I don't know,
Aluminum.
carbon bender to be able to drag the whole thing over, or would it just split by atoms?
I think if you bend it in the right shape, like if you bend the carbon in the paper around it, and you keep it in that shape, it will just sort of carry the aluminum with it.
Yeah, and then when you set it down again, you'd be releasing your hold, and the carbon would just fuse together back in the way it was.
Yeah.
Or would it just?
Or it's
cause
like,
a
you know the way
completely
that
different
Toph can
reaction?
metal bend?
Yes.
And like, she can change its shape, but when she stops bending it, it just solidifies again.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't even stop being solid. It just stays in that, it just stays as a solid. It just kind of changes its shape.
So, in conclusion, element benders of all elements will be so much more useful than just the 4 main elements.
But also a lot more difficult to use, because there's a lot more elements that you'd need to control.
But hey, if you're the one Frangium user in the universe, please don't blow up the planet.
That's a good suggestion. Let's lock him up in a room with no francium.
But
Destroy
how far would
France.
the range go?
Destroy France.
Um,
Let them bend French.
I don't know. Just sort of like tie him down with handcuffs so that he can't like move his hands to do any.
That's actually a
Bender
thing I
magic.
was thinking. Would you
And
consider
also-
your hands or just your brain?
It's also.
If
I
it's
mean, what's he
the
gonna
brain-
do? Bend his way out? There's no francium. However, if there was francium, that'd be a different story. But there isn't any,
Wait, how much francium is there in the world?
15 grams
and it's in a vault.
by the UN government. Although I bet you
In-
China does have some. I don't
Okay, well,
That brings to mind another question.
right.
Then.
Well, let's not talk about that.
In this
'Cause
world,
we don't
are
want
we
people making
able to make
assumptions.
our own elements then? Because like
Yeah. Mixing
How
elements
do
that
you
are never
mean?
before mixed. So
what I mean is like a hydrogen bender could just make hydrogen in their hand.
and if
Actually,
they did that, would we fix the
another-
oxygen crisis?
another
Would we be able
question.
to get rid of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere immediately, expelling it through the atmosphere into space.
another question I
global
have.
warming.
Now, I'm about to go full nerd mode here. Exotic matter.
What is exotic matter? Because
Exotic matter isn't exactly a thing, it's just sort of a
Theory.
topic of different types of matter that aren't normal. So there's normal matter and there's exotic matter. Exotic matter includes the likes of matter with negative mass, antimatter, dark matter. You know, stuff that's unconventional. Stuff that we don't normally deal with.
Some stuff that could possibly exist, but we haven't found.
Like antimatter, for example. Would you need to be a hydrogen bender to bend anti-hydrogen? Or would you need to be an anti-hydrogen bender to bend anti-hydrogen?
And then, if this did suddenly happen one day, and these people just suddenly got the power to bend anti-hydrogen, if they're anti-hydrogen benders, would they have just discovered a new element by accident?
yes,
No, because what element would they be discovering?
Anti-hydrogen.
Well, how would they know that they're an anti-hydrogen bender?
They wouldn't, so they would have invented a new element that no one's ever heard of, possibly
But-
called dinosaur helium.
dinosaur.
I don't really know where that came from. I just
No, but anti-hydrogen is a very real thing.
It's,
It's very hard to make, but it does exist and it can be created. And that's another topic for another day. That
Look, honestly, this is a good concept, and this is only our first topic.
we're really not good at this, so
This is our first episode, and we don't have the right equipment, so if it sounds bad and whatever,
that's Cal's fault.
how in the fuck is it my fault?
it's Cal's fault.
It just is,
We're
okay?
recording it off your phone.
I don't make the rules, I just play by them.
And sometimes you don't. But hey, that's all for another day.
But hey,
hate you all.
You know what? Bending the elements, even if they're not the traditional four elements, is cool. Unnecessarily complicated, but cool. Have a nice day. This has been episode 1 of the Username Taken Podcast, and I will potentially be in your house tonight. Goodbye!